Madam President, today I am very proud to introduce the Older Americans Act Reauthorization Bill of 2012 with 14 of my colleagues, including Senators Blumenthal, Kerry, Mikulski, Begich, Akaka, Durbin, Gillibrand, Klobuchar, Leahy, Wyden, Franken, Boxer, Johnson, and Merkley. This bill is the result of an impressive team effort. We have reached out to a number of members on the committee and others who have brought forth ideas of their own. And I'm very proud, as chairman of the Subcommittee on Primary Health and Aging, to have introduced this bill. And I want to thank the director of the subcommittee, Ashley Cottingham, for her work, as well as Sophie Casimo and Erica Solway. Madam President, it is disappointing to me that this important piece of legislation has not been dealt with during this session. But on behalf of the millions of elderly people to whom it applies and for whom it will make life better, I am introducing it today because it will lay the groundwork for what we have got to do next session. Madam President, originally enacted in 1965, the Older Americans Act was the first initiative by the federal government to help senior citizens remain independent in their homes and in their communities. The Older Americans Act has historically received bipartisan support. This act provides federal funding for some important programs that many Americans are familiar with. Among others is the Meals on Wheels program. And that means that all over America, we have seniors who are frail, seniors who are unable to leave their homes. And every single day, all over this country, there are volunteers who are delivering hot meals, nutritious meals to seniors. And I want to thank all of those volunteers and to tell you that we're going to do the best that we can to increase funding to end some of those waiting lines that now exist throughout this country in terms of seniors being able to get the Meals on Wheels program. And another important nutrition program that the Older Americans Act deals with is the Congregate Meal Program. In Vermont, and I know all over this country, every day seniors come to senior centers where they're able to socialize, able to have a good time, able to break through their isolation, and also receive nutritious meals. And the meals that they receive are significantly funded by the Congregate Meal Program. In my view, they are inadequately funded. We want to increase funding for that program as well. I would mention that in the state of Vermont, just one small state, almost 1 million Congregate and Meals on Wheels are served every single year. 1 million meals in a small state like Vermont. Madam President, we are in the midst of a terrible recession. Unemployment is too high, wages are too low. Many people have lost their homes. But in the midst of this recession, we do not talk enough about the plight of many elderly people. They are living their lives often in great financial distress under the radar screen. I think we are not paying enough attention to their problems. Today, incredibly enough, 1 in 5 American seniors over the age of 65 are living on an average income of $7,500 per year. And the numbers of seniors going hungry is rising. Hunger among seniors in the United States of America today is a serious problem. In fact, there are over 5 million seniors who face the threat of hunger, and others who are struggling every single day to make sure that they have enough food in the refrigerator to take care of their most basic needs. Madam President, the very good news is that the Older Americans Act has developed programs to address these needs. Yet, because we have more seniors who are in need of these programs, it is absolutely imperative that we address the problems of hunger and make sure that every senior in this country gets the nutrition that he or she needs. And this legislation, this bill that we are submitting today with 14 co-sponsors, will request higher authorization for nutrition programs, for supportive services, for jobs programs. One of the things that the Older Americans Act does, not a lot of people know this, provides employment opportunities for many seniors. And this is important because it allows hard-pressed seniors to earn additional revenue, but it also allows seniors to go out into the workforce and get meaning into their lives, which is extremely important. This legislation also provides for chronic disease self-management and the long-term care ombudsman program. This bill also strengthens efforts to identify and prevent elder abuse, a serious problem in our country, provides support for family caregivers and care coordination activities, workforce for seniors, and increases protection for seniors living in nursing homes and receiving home care services. Madam President, we need to see the reauthorization of the Older Americans Act early in the next Congress. With 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 each day and middle-class families experiencing rising costs from education to health care, as well as the need to provide care to their aging relatives, we are at a critical moment in terms of how we address the very serious problems facing senior citizens. Now, the interesting point about the Older Americans Act and about the nutrition programs is that while, yes, it is an investment of federal dollars, in the long run, it actually saves us money. We had a very interesting hearing on this issue, and we heard from physicians who told us what kind of common sense would suggest, that if seniors do not get the nutrition that they need, if they become malnourished, they are obviously more likely to become ill, end up in the hospital, end up in the emergency room. In addition, when you have senior citizens who are not getting the care they need at home, the attention they need, the nutrition they need, they are more likely to suffer serious falls, break hips, end up in the hospital at great expense. So the bottom line here is not really rocket science, is that if you make sure that seniors throughout this country who are vulnerable, who are frail, who do not have a lot of money, if they get the nutrition and the attention they deserve while at home, they will be healthier, less likely to end up in the hospital and emergency room at great expense to our healthcare system. So investing in the Older Americans Act is not only the right thing to do, it is not only the humane thing to do in terms of taking care of the most vulnerable and fragile people in our society, it also makes good financial sense for our country. Madam President, I thank very much the 14 co-sponsors that we have, and we are going to aggressively do our best to make sure that this legislation is passed either in the lame duck session or when we return next year. And with that, Madam President, I would yield the floor and note the absence. Yield the floor.
Madam President.
The senator from Minnesota is recognized.